What's going on, guys? Thanks for coming to Politics and Life. This is Jordan. I hope all my freedom-loving patriots are having a blessed day. As we know, yesterday was Trump's 100 days in office, and man, was it a good day. Well, today he went on News Nation with Bill O'Reilly, Chris Cuomo, and Stephen A. Smith, and they interviewed him live about tariffs, the economy, and what's to come and how to unify the country. I think this country is more unified now than it's ever been, especially under Donald J. Trump. Enough talking. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get it started, y'all.
Bring in the President of the United States, who's working in the Oval Office right now. Mr. President, how are you tonight?
Hello, Bill. How are you?
I'm the same, which is tragic for everyone. People hope that I improve, and I never do. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and Cuomo's got a few, then Stephen A. You ready to go?
Hey, Sharon. Hope you're doing well.
I think he hung up on you.
Good. Is that it? That's the interview. Mr. President,
just the border alone, I just want to state my opinion real quick, then I'll play it. Just the border alone and that he was able to decrease it by 96% within the first 2 months is just a crazy statistic on his behalf. The last administration said we had to pass legislation to even secure the border. That was 100% a lie. The Democrats think we are stupid. They think you are stupid, the American taxpayer.
Hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So a series of rough polls this week, and I'm wondering how you process that. Does it hurt your feelings when you see numbers come in that are not what you'd like them to be?
Well, first of all, they're fake polls. And if you take a look at the polls, they interviewed more, and for the most part, they interviewed more Democrats than they did Republicans, which is ridiculous and unfair. And Democrats aren't voting for Trump.
Also, when it comes to polls, who believes the polls anymore? The polls had Kamala Harris winning. They had Trump losing the first time he ran as well. The polls are bogus. No one's falling for these crappy polls anymore that is ran by big media. We, the people, are now the new news.
And you look at him, John McLaughlin, who's the most respected pollster, said I'm at 50, 55, and maybe even higher than that. And he said that these polls are largely fake. When you look at the New York Times, when you look at the Washington Post, ABC, they predicted I was going to lose Wisconsin by 17 points, and I ended up winning Wisconsin. They predicted I was going to lose the election, and I ended up winning the election. They're fake polls, number one. And I think it's a very important thing to know that and to understand it. And because polls are no different than fake writers or journalism, and it's not a pretty thing when you watch. So when you say, am I bothered by it? If I was, I'd be really helped by the fact that in the election, we won in a landslide. We won the popular vote. We won the swing states. We won the districts, 2,750 to about 505. And the election took place just a short while ago, November 5th. I think it was
what's different now, Mr. President,
for the country.
What's different now is the tariffs, and that's what's driving your numbers down. That some people are panicking because the stock market is so up and down, in and out. Would you agree that that has been a perception problem, the tariffs?
Yeah, but I'm an honest guy, and we have to save the country. We were losing $5 billion a day with this man that we had as a president, the auto pen president. Nobody even knows who the president was. We were losing, think of it, we're losing $5 billion a day, and a big chunk of it was from China. Now China is sending its boats back. The boats are not being unloaded because they have a 145% tariff, which is, a record-setting type tariff, and they can't sell their product here. And because of that, think of it, if you're losing all of that money, maybe you're better off not doing business with them. But I took $5 billion a day and cut it way, way down, way, way back. And I did that within a very short period of time.
When do you think, though, it's going to turn around economically so that people aren't frightened? Do you have a timeline on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very fair question.
People are only frightened because big media has been fear-mongering people. I really, truly believe that the American people are behind Trump in regards to tariffs. Tariffs only influence the rich people, the elites, and those are the ones that are fear-mongering. Big media is in hands with the Democrat Party and the elites, and all they ever do is fear-monger. I mean, 92% bad media for Trump and his whole administration so far this go around. But what do we expect? Trump derangement syndrome runs free in liberals' minds.
Plants, building equipment, building so much right now. You probably heard it could be $8 trillion, it could be more than $8 trillion of new investments. Outside in one of my offices waiting for me is the president and chairman of Eli Lilly. And I just left, you take a look, IBM was here today. IBM was here. They're spending billions of dollars. I had some of the biggest, Apple, as you know, is spending $500 billion. They're building their plants, and they've already started in the United States. As you know, they built most of them in China. We had the biggest companies in the world. I had a conference here just about an hour and a half ago, and some of the people are still here. They remain. Some of the people are watching your show tonight. But
yes, I agree, Sharon. Aren't we glad to see Made in America again? I mean, Trump was just doing a live, not rally, but event today, talking about how there's billions. He had all the people investing at the event. There's billions being invested into America, even more. It seems like on a daily basis, we have these big companies, rich people, just people who are in that industry that is investing in America. And we never saw that under Joe Biden.
It could be close. I think we're over $8 trillion of new investment. That's unheard of. It's never been anything like that.
But most people, but they want to know a timeline.
They're doing that to avoid the tariffs, Bill.
Okay.
They're doing that to avoid the tariffs.
But do you have a timeline yourself? Do you say, look, it's got to stabilize by this time, fall? Because remember, if it doesn't stabilize this time next year, Democrats may win the midterms. So there is risk here, big risk.
That's true. It is true. And I just think that I'll be able to convince people how good this is. This is what other countries have done to us. We've been the laughing stock and the whipping post. We've been ripped off by every country practically in the world, just ripped off on trade. And by the way, ripped off with NATO and the military too, because we supported NATO to a tune that was almost, at one point until I became president, it was close to 100%. We were spending. So we're spending on NATO to protect Europe, and then on Europe, they're ripping us off in trade. But if you look at the European Union, they've been brutal to the United States. We lose $300 billion, $350 billion a year to Europe. They don't take our cars. We take 10 million of their cars.
That's getting better,
they don't take our farm products. Right. We take their farm products. And it has to change.
All right.
So,
but
I'm willing to be the one that does that, but it has to change. And I've been given a lot of credit. I got an editorial today by a group that I won't mention, but a group that's a very sort of a semi-anti-Trump group. And they said, whether you like it or not, he's the most consequential president that we've ever had, because he's doing things that if you don't do it, we won't have a country left.
Okay, and that's a legitimate point. One more question for me, then I'm Cuomo, then Stephen A.
I agree, Sharon.
You signed a deal with Ukraine to harvest minerals today.
Yeah.
What were you and Zelensky talking about when you were nose to nose in the Vatican?
I was telling him that it's a very good thing if we can produce a deal that you sign it, because Russia is much bigger and much stronger. Russia is just chugging forward. It's a big, strong country. By the way, not nearly as strong as the United States, because I rebuilt our military in my first term. They gave a lot of it away in Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is one of the reasons we had an incompetent president, grossly incompetent. He should have never been president.
Dementia
Biden.
We
had a man that didn't know what the hell.
And the same big media that is saying Trump has bad polls right now and that no one likes him and he's the worst rated president in history when it comes to polls is the same media that said Biden is not demented and that he was perfectly fine and willing to run another 4 years. Ding, ding. No one should believe them at all. They are fake and phony.
He was doing in Afghanistan showed the stupidity of our leader and the weakness of the military. We have a great military. I knocked out ISIS in 3 weeks.
All right, well, you got the deal. You got the deal with Zelensky on the minerals. That means the United States is going to have a presence in Ukraine. Is that going to inhibit Putin, do you think?
Well, it could, but the reason I did that is that we're in for $350 billion or close to it. whereas Europe is only in it for $100 billion.
All right, so we get
That's a
some of
lot.
our investment back. All
I
right, Cuomo.
felt very foolish. You know, they loaned the money, and Biden handed them $350 billion in between cash and military equipment. 350, we got nothing, and I felt very foolish being the head of a country where Europe gets their money back, and it's a much smaller amount, and we get nothing. So I went to them and said, look, we got to get rare earth. They have great rare earth, meaning certain minerals, materials. They have things that a lot of places don't have. It's a big asset that they have. And we made a deal today where we get, much more in theory than the $350 billion. But I wanted to be protected. I didn't want to be out there and look foolish. And this is not my war. This is Biden's war. I'm just trying to stop it. But
Okay.
the reason I want it stopped is they're losing 5,000 young soldiers every single week on average. Russian and Ukrainian. They're not American, but they're human beings, and it's so sad to see it. So I want to stop the war.
Let's get Cuomo in here.
Mr. President, it's Chris Cuomo. Thank you for taking the
Hi, Chris.
opportunity.
Good.
Appreciate you doing it.
Okay.
A couple of points of uncertainty. You're talking about, you just said a moment ago that you believe you can convince the American people about what you're doing. One of the things that keeps coming up in polling is that they don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it, that there doesn't seem to be a plan. What does that mean to you in terms of how you have to make the case to the American people to have them deal with the period that it takes for a turnaround?
Well, the problem Chris, is I have to be flexible because as you do things in life and in business, you need flexibility. You can't just be hard line and I'm going to run right through a wall and I'm never going to go over it or around it. I'm going to go straight. You have to be able to dodge and move and be flexible, and especially in business. Now, with the cars, I'm getting a 25% tariff for the people. We're taking in billions and billions of dollars, but they're hurt because they can't switch over 100% of the content of the car within a very short period of time. So they came to see me. I understood their problem, and I gave them a period of a year where I brought it down, and then another year. So I gave them a short period, 2 years, where they have to be switched over 100%, where every single part in the car is made in the USA. Now, if I didn't do that, it would have been very, very tough for them. And so what I am is flexible. And if I didn't do that, it would be very tough for these companies. And these companies, it's a transition period, Chris. And transition's an important word because as you do things, you'll say, well, it's like being on the battlefield. You're on the battlefield. Sometimes you're going to move to the left flank, but then you end up moving to the right flank. And it's very much like that in business. And frankly, it's very much like that in life. But we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. And if you look at China now, they're not, look, we lost $1 trillion on trade with this Biden. China was just taking us out to lunch. There's never been anything like it, the way we were ripped off. We were ripped off by China, but we were ripped off by everybody, but really by China. They were the king of ripping off the United States. Now they're not doing any business here because I don't want them to do business. So I set a high tariff. I don't want them to do business. Now, will we make a deal? There's a very good chance we're going to make a deal, but we're going to make it on our terms.
Mr.
And
President,
it's got to be fair.
Mr. President, in the upcoming budget negotiations, another point of uncertainty is what happens to entitlements. Whether or not waste, fraud, and abuse, I think everybody's in favor of seeing that identified and exposed, but that Social Security benefits or the adjustments or the application of it may be compromised, or Medicaid may be compromised in terms of who gets how much in benefits. Do you have a commitment for the American people in terms of how much you will protect those programs?
We're not doing anything with entitlements. And if you look at Social Security, and by the way, I think I'm better to say this than anybody because I did nothing with entitlements that would hurt people for 4 years. I could have done that. If I was going to do that, I would have done it 5 years ago, 6 years ago, or 7 years ago. I'm not doing anything. The only thing is, you say don't talk about waste, fraud, and abuse. There is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. There are a lot of illegal aliens that are getting Medicaid that shouldn't be getting it. And nobody objects to taking people off Medicaid that aren't allowed to be there. But we are doing absolutely nothing to hurt Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security. Nothing at all.
Stephen A.
Mr. President, how are you,
Hello,
sir?
Stephen.
How are
I
you?
remember you from a long time ago, Stephen.
Yes, I
How have
do.
you been?
He's the same, Mr. President. He hasn't changed
Good.
at all.
True. I
I'm
think that's true.
Just trouble morning, night, and afternoon.
Congratulations,
That's all
Mr.
right.
President. Honored to
Hello.
talk to you. Here's the deal. You talked about obviously you've introduced aggressive tariffs and significant budget cuts aimed at federal spending. Many critics say these policies disproportionately impact lower income Americans. How do you address concerns that your economic policies primarily benefit wealthy Americans while harming working class Americans?
It actually creates jobs for the middle income. It's going to be better for the middle income. It's going to save our country because we're going to become rich again. Stephen, we lose so much money on trade. It's unbelievable. And instead of losing a lot of money, and they did to us for years what I'm doing to them right now. They charged us tariffs. They wouldn't let us build anything in our country. They said, you want to sell a Ford or you want to sell a General Motors car or anything, you come to China and build your plant in China. You come to the European nations and build your plant in Germany. You build it in France. You build it where we have no interest in letting you. As an example, we don't sell any cars virtually in China. We don't sell any cars in Europe, any. And yet Europe sells millions of cars, Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, millions and millions of cars. They won't take our agricultural product. It's great product. They won't take almost anything for us, but we take their cars, we take their agriculture. Those days are over. We have to have fair trade. We're losing billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, and it's not fair. And it's time for the American people to be properly protected.
Yes, Sharon, Trump is the first president in history, it seems, not in history, but who has kept mostly all of his promises. The one criticism I would have, as I've said in previous videos, is the Epstein files. I don't think there's any excuse on why those have not been released, but I feel like they're really coming. But besides that, I trust in the terrorists and I trust in what Trump is doing.
By somebody that knows what he's doing, and I know what I'm doing perfectly. It's a little complicated subject. I've got to explain it. I've got to have people that can explain it. But I can tell you that right now we have over 100 countries that are calling us like morning, noon, and night, dying to make a deal. We're in a great position of strength. We'll make great deals. And where we don't make deals, Stephen, we're just going to set the deals. We'll say that country is going to pay a 20% tariff. That country is going to pay 15%. Another one's going to pay 30 or 40% because we have a big, deficit with a certain country. They're going to pay 30, 40, 50, 60%. So we'll just set those deals. I could set those deals tomorrow and do away with negotiating, but we're negotiating with South Korea. We're negotiating with Japan. We're negotiating with a lot of many. India is a very big, they want to make a deal so badly.
Okay.
I'm not telling anything out of school. We're going to make great deals for America instead of bad.
Well,
and
and another criticism is Ray Epps. Yes, he should be charged because there was no one that was charging him. He was safe. There was no reason to shoot someone who served for our military unarmed, Ashley Babbitt. I agree with that 100%, Valley Joe. And, I mean, when it comes to these Democrats, they need to be arrested. I feel like when it comes to the Russia hoax, Russiagate, I mean, the 51 intelligence agents in regards to the Hunter Biden laptop, Hunter Biden getting away with pardons, Adam Schiff. I feel like we have so much to go off of that we need to start seeing arrests. So the Epstein files and Democrats being arrested, and obviously Ray Epps is included in that. And then I would say 100% grade for Trump, 100%.
I didn't take this hard line. India, as an example, had no interest in negotiating with anybody in Biden or, frankly, anybody with us. They had no.
Oh, Ray Epps was the one that kind of stirred January 6th and was telling people to go into the Capitol. He was the undercover Fed who pretended he was a Trump supporter, and he encouraged Trump supporters to go into the Capitol on January 6th. That's who Ray Epps was. I got that confused for the Capitol officer who shot Ashley Babbitt. My bad. But, yeah, I do agree with that as well.
They were ripping us really badly. One of the highest tariff nations in the world. They were taking advantage of us. Now they're calling us and they're saying, please, let's make a deal.
When are you going to
We're in a
announce it?
position of strength.
When are you going to announce? I understand you have a deal with South Korea, Japan, and India. You already got it. When are you announcing it?
Well, we have potential deals with them, yeah. But okay, I'll tell you this. I'm in less of a hurry than you are. We are sitting on the catbird seat. They want us. We don't need them.
All right, remember
But we
the
wanna
folks
be
are
good to
nervous,
them,
though.
But they've been ripping us. Let me just tell you, they've been ripping us off.
We got that,
for
but the
years.
folks,
South Korea has been ripping us off. We pay for their military. You know, when I was there, I got them to pay billions of dollars toward the military. We pay for their military. They take advantage of us on trade. Now, these are friend and foe. We often do better with foe, meaning the enemy, than we do with the friends. The friends have been brutal to this country on trade.
but remember, once you announce the stock market's going to go up 2,000 points and people will relax
That's
a
okay.
little
It
more.
can wait 2 weeks.
They can wait.
2
All
weeks.
right. Okay.
Mr. President, Mr. President, an additional question that might require an explanation. Your administration has issued executive orders dismantling DEI initiative across federal agencies, including revoking equal opportunity mandates and slashing funding for minority-owned businesses. Critics argue these actions reverse decades of civil rights progress. So how do you justify these measures, and what message do they send to the marginalized communities in this country?
Well, it was one at the as you know, it was one at the Supreme Court. And what we're doing is we have a country that's based solely on merit now. And that's the way it is. If somebody's out there doing a great job, and this includes getting into college.
Yes, because the Democrats, they were the KKK, they were the slave owners. They opened up Hey, Ruth, I hope you're doing good. They opened up Planned Parenthood to kill minority babies. The person who opened it up was a racist white liberal Democrat named Margaret Sanger. The Democrats are the racists. They're obsessed with race. That is all they care about. That's why they don't want you to get rid of DEI, because it hires based off race and not merit. Republicans, we don't see color. We see who is most qualified for the job. Hire off who is most qualified for the job so accidents don't happen. I mean, we are seeing plane crashes. I mean, imagine surgeons like hiring based off of race and not the most smartest person. You are literally jeopardizing and taking chances with people's lives, as we see in the airport industry. Hire based off who is most qualified. Nothing more needs to be said.
Colleges, if you've worked really hard, and we don't look at race, we don't look at color, we don't look at height or shortness or weight. If somebody is doing a good job and they worked and they got great marks and they got great board numbers and they get rejected at this Harvard, which has been so disgusting, so horribly. I mean, so think of it. They hired Bill de Blasio and Lori Lightfoot, the two worst mayors in the history. They pay them a fortune.
But that was the course, though.
They're teaching management.
The
Let
course
me just
was
tell you that
the course
it's based
was
now, Stephen, on merit.
the course at
Everything is
Harvard,
based
though,
on
Mr.
merit.
President, was how to be a bad mayor. That was the course. So they had to
Well,
hire
that would
those
be
two.
good. Then they would be terrific.
Laura, I got a studio audience question from Lee Shapiro. Lee's a tough guy. Lee says, what's the biggest mistake you think?
Who else agrees that Trump can be a comedian? He will go down, I believe, as the funniest president in history. He could just talk. And the reason he can do that is because the truth is on his side. The Democrats, it's almost like all of them just read off the same script day in and day out because they're liars. There's nothing original that comes out of their mouth. But with Trump, he can just go on for hours because he's a normal American and he comes from a place of truth.
You've made in the first 100 days?
I'll tell you, that's the toughest question I can have because I don't really believe I've made
You
mistakes.
made any mistakes?
We're in a transition period. We're in a transition period.
I think Lee is reassured.
I think you're going to see tremendous economic victories over the next period of a year, like far greater than ever imagined. Right now, as I said, we're losing billions and billions of dollars on trade. We're going to make billions and billions of dollars, but it takes a little while. That doesn't happen overnight, but it will happen much faster than people understand.
All right, Cuomo's got one more.
All right, let me get Stephen Smith in here, and then I got a question for you, Mr.
Well,
Appreciate your time.
Mr. President, thank you for your time. It's interesting that you brought up Harvard because when people think about Harvard, what they're basically talking about is they're asking, what do you say to those who view your actions as an attack on academic freedom rather than a defense of fairness. What do you say to that?
Well, I say this: we had riots in Harlem, in Harlem, and frankly, if you look at what's gone on, and people from Harlem went up and they protested, Stephen, and they protested very strongly against Harvard. They happened to be on my side. You know, I got a very high black vote. You know that. Very, very high black vote. It was
And Ruth, I've been saying it for a while. I truly believe that California is red. If we could bring in one-day voting ID as well, I believe California is easily red, especially right now with what's happening. That's just my personal belief. I'd like to know what you think.
a very great compliment to me. I did criminal justice reform. I did opportunity zones for one of the greatest economic deals ever for the Black and Hispanic community. I got tremendous. They agree with what I'm doing with respect to Harvard. Harvard gets $4 or $5 billion a year from the United States government in the form of grants, and they have $53 billion, and yet they don't treat the people right. They take foreign students, nobody knows where they come from, and they viciously hate our country. And I'm saying if we're going to give grant money, we want people in that school that are going to love our country, not people that are going to hate our country. They run a bad operation up there, and we have to get to the bottom of it. On top of that, they said they want to teach their students remedial mathematics. That's basic math. 2 and 2 is 4. And you say, well, Harvard's supposed to be so great. Why do people have to have remedial? That's basic, very simple mathematics. So we're looking into Harvard, but we give them billions of dollars a year, and that may very well stop. And that's up to the president. It's up to our government. We don't have to grant them money. We can grant that money to people that really need it, and frankly, people that you'd rather have me give the money to, Stephen.
Mr. President, as a graduate of Winston-Salem State University, which is an HBCU, I'm fully aware of the contributions that you've made to HBCUs in the past.
Thank you.
There is a concern, however, that with all the things going on in this day and time, that there will be a cut in federal contributions to HBCUs. Should HBCUs be very concerned about you making cuts in that regard?
Not at all. And let me just tell you, I'm glad you brought it. Historically Black colleges and universities, I saved them, Stephen. They were going out of business. They came to me, about 50 people that headed up, and they came to me.
Yeah, Valley Joe, make California great again. 100% agree with that one. And defund Harvard, I kind of agree with it. I mean, I am for free speech, but when people are getting cornered and not able to walk to their classrooms and getting bullied and attacked just based off their beliefs, who they are as a person, you got some serious issues. I mean, Harvard was a world-renowned known school. Like, you were supposed to be the smartest, the brightest of the whole entire world. And now it's just indoctrination centers. That is all these college campuses have turned into, indoctrination centers. That's why I say college is a scam these days. Trade schools or jobs out of high school is the way to go.
To me the first year, and I took care of them. I took care of the Black colleges and historically Black HBCU. I took care of them. You know that better than anybody. Then they came to me the second year, and I said, wait a minute. Why do you keep coming back? I saw you guys, and they were great guys. Some of them to this day are still really friendly. And by the way, they love Trump, every one of them. They came to me the second time.
Well, you're giving them money.
They came to me the second time. They came to me the second time, and I was surprised to see him.
I got it, Mr. President.
Just to finish it. They came to me the third, and I said,
if you are coming from X, new friends and old friends, I know I stream off X as well, but YouTube has been shadow banning me so bad lately. I would appreciate if you guys could just click on the link. I have plenty of YouTube videos up on my X feed, and subscribe to an America First Conservative. I'm literally 7 away from 800 subscribers. I see there's quite a bit of people coming from X. I would appreciate if you would go over and subscribe. It takes 5 seconds. Appreciate it very much. Thanks.
You need long-term. I got the historically Black colleges and universities. I got them more money than they ever dreamt possible. And they're in great shape now, and they have long-term financing. Nobody did that but Donald Trump.
Okay. Stephen A. Smith may run for president, as you know.
I hope so.
He's going to get eaten alive by the Democrats. I mean, I think he can debate and talk about important points, but they are going to look into his past. They are going to take him out because they cannot allow a person that is not owned by the establishment to run for the Democrat nominee. The last 3 presidential nominees of the Democrat Party has all come from the establishment. I mean, Bernie was supposed to win. They took him out, filled in Hillary Clinton. Biden, who had dementia and was brain dead, he's always brain dead, filled right in. And then they had Kamala, who's even dumber. She doesn't even have dementia. What's her excuse? She's just dumb. People never vote for the Democrat politician nominees, but I think they're going to pull in AOC. I welcome that 100% because I think she is so damn stupid. And I think anyone up against AOC is just going to demolish her in a debate. And I don't think that AOC has the sway and she's not, what's the term I'm thinking of? She's not a very important person, well-known person or well-liked person around the world. Maybe in a couple liberal states she might be, but people don't like her. They do not want the crazy left narratives and policies pushed on the whole country.
Do you have any advice for Stephen A? If he launches the run?
No, Stephen A. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. I love watching him. He's got great entertainment skills, which is very important. People watch him. You know, a lot of these Democrats I watch, I say they have no chance. I've been pretty good at picking people and picking candidates, and I will tell you, I'd love to see him run.
All right, there you go. You got one more?
Not me. I like him too.
Yeah, she's dumb, Sharon.
We're going to let you go. Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask you something because I know that for you, legacy matters. You talk about it in-house. You talk about it out-of-house. When you got shot, I reached out through family. I wanted to talk to you, and I wanted to tell you a couple of things. One was that I hope that you were okay and that your family was dealing with it all right. And the second one was that I was embarrassed by how it was being covered as if maybe it didn't happen. And I told my audience that I spoke to you. I didn't talk about the details of the conversation because they didn't matter. But there was a lot of heat that came my way as if I shouldn't have been making a comfort call to Donald Trump. We're very divided. You know this. You want to be remembered as one of the greatest presidents in America. You know our history. Every president who's considered great was seen as a unifier. What do you need to do?
We cannot unify the whole country. Most of the country is unified right now. I would say it's about 85%. And then you got the crazy leftists that are about 15% of the country. There's no unifying those people because they are so Trump deranged and they believe every single narrative about Trump that I don't think there's any coming back. I think about maybe half of that, maybe 8%. Eventually they'll wake up once they realize the economy is going to come booming back because these tariffs. But I think the other 8 is just too far gone. They are just too far gone. I mean, they are literally wishing death on the president, talking about killing him, talking about how they hope he dies, cheering on these other countries while they live in America. It's pathetic, and they're weak people and weak-minded.
To be remembered as someone who could bring this country together.
Well, I think I will be a great unifier. That's what I want to be, and it's very important to me. Hispanic vote, I got the highest Hispanic vote, maybe, I think, ever for a Republican candidate. If you look at the border between Mexico and Texas, I won every single border state, and it was all Hispanic vote. I won Miami. I won Florida. I think I am a unifier. I think I have votes that Republicans have never gotten before. And that's why I was able to win the election in such a big fashion. With all of that being said, what I have to do is save the country. The country was going down the tubes. This country was in big trouble. You had a border where millions of people were pouring in from jails, from prisons. They were pouring in at levels from mental institutions, gang members, terrorists, and we're getting them out. You can't have a country with these people there. We had 11,888 murderers. Many of these people killed more than one person. More than 50% of them killed more than one person. We got to get them out of their country. I don't know if that's unity or disunity, but
Also, Obama, he was literally known as the deporter-in-chief. You didn't hear the Democrats say a word. Silence the whole entire time. He deported more than any president in history. Trump, the reason why he's not deporting more people, and the leftist news will like brag about this, oh, he's deported more people, is because there's no one coming. The border is secure, so that means less people need to be deported. But they said nothing about Obama having drone strikes on Americans and civilians when he shouldn't have been able to do that because they didn't authorize war. So I mean, everything they say about Trump, they have literally done and overlooked when it comes to their candidates. Forever.
No choice. You know, some things you have no choice, but I do remember your call. I appreciate your call, and I actually appreciate your family. I've known your family for a long time. You know that.
Mr. President, I want to thank you very much for taking the time on a very busy day. Our audience there.
So that's the end of this. We're going to go to the ABC interview yesterday, and we're going to go to the best highlights. I would have just done a live stream of the whole video, but I will get not shadow banned. I will get a strike on YouTube, unfortunately. So we have to do it from X, where I'm just going to review the clips, the best clips of the ABC Trump interview. That dude got owned by Trump. I mean, that dude wasn't prepared for Trump. Trump's on a whole other level when it comes to these fake news journalists, and they're not prepared for him at all because, well, they're frauds and they're scripted. The left are a cult. They would rather vote for a self-evident racist Joe Biden just to say not Trump and call us. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Biden was literally, he was best friends with a Klansman, Robert Byrd. He euthanized him at a KKK event, I believe it was. He grew up if you can go on X and YouTube and find these clips. Joe Biden has always been a racist. They're not hard to find the clips at all. There's a few videos in the past that I've reacted to on my channel where I've shown exactly what he has said. Joe Biden has always been a racist and he always will be a racist. But I want to show this clip because this guy questions this liberal clown and pretty much wakes her up in regards to how the tariffs work. And then we'll go to the ABC interview after that.
Are you in favor of paying American wages, like making sure that people have a livable wage?
Yeah.
Are you in favor of the environment, like you're protecting against climate change and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you, when having the manufacturer in China and paying kids $1 a month and then pumping CO2 like crazy with no regulations, is that helping you achieve those various things?
Well, that's not helping us achieve those various things, but the fact.
So would you be willing to pay a little bit,
is,
1 second, would you be willing to pay a little bit more for the products, knowing that you're taking care of the environment and paying Americans a livable wage?
Of course, it would be best to not employ cheap labor that violates human rights. But the fact is that raising the tariffs isn't going to help that problem because the industries, for it to help that problem, the industries have to bring their companies back here. But they won't.
How would you bring them to America? So I just want to clarify that up. How do we get them to bring them? Because we agree now, we don't want to abuse human rights, abuse the pollution, all that stuff. How do we bring that company out of China to America? What is the best way to do that?
I don't know. You tell me.
Terrorists.
Well, it's to incentivize them to make stuff in America, right?
Okay, yeah. It would be to incent.
How would you do that?
Terrorists.
You would do. Okay. The thing I'm trying to say is that the tariffs would hypothetically incentivize them to bring their industries back over to America because it's more expensive to import. But they could also just ride the wave until Trump is gone.
Ride the wave.
And then hope that there's another president.
So how would you do it? Because we both agree we want to get out of China because of the human abuse and the environmental abuse. How do we get those companies to come to America then? Should Democrats support tariffs like Biden did? Because Biden had tariffs in place. Did you know that? No,
she's dumb. She's woke.
I really, at the end of the day, don't support the ideology of either of the presidents.
That's what I'm saying. These liberals are so just indoctrinated and dumb at this point that they don't even realize that their candidate and their side supported tariffs. It's just that they hate on Trump, so now they're just acting like tariffs were always a bad thing. And yes, Valley Joe, you are correct. Yeah. Oh, I miss Robin Williams. He did make fun of Joe Biden. I remember that. Joe Biden said Obama was the first well-dressed, well-spoken black person he's ever met. He also said he didn't want whites and blacks mixed in schools because it would become a racial jungle. His words, not mine. Joe Biden is the racist president we've ever had. And it's not hard to find the proof in the audio. The audio is out there. So I'm just going to play a couple of the clips from the ABC interview from yesterday where Trump murdered this ABC clown who no one even knows who he is. First question is about Putin.
Fighting. Don't
You
forget,
think he wants
this
peace?
is a-
You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I think he
Still.
does. I think because
Even with the
of
raining missiles
I
on?
think he really, his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of me, he's not going to do that.
Do you trust
I
him?
think-
Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people.
Mic
I
drop.
don't trust you. Look at you. You're coming all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am
And then
happy.
you start hitting me with fake questions. You start telling me that a guy whose hand is covered
All
with
right,
a
we're back to
tattoo doesn't have the tattoo, you know.
All right.
I mean, you're being dishonest.
No, I'm not.
Let me
No, I
just
am
tell you,
not,
do
sir.
I trust? I don't trust a lot of people, but I do think this. I think that let's say he respects me, and I believe because of me, he's not going to take over the whole. But his decision, his choice would be to take over all of Ukraine.
Bam. Yes, Putin has said on numerous occasions, him and the people in his administration, that they want the war over. Sure, both sides suck. I can say both sides suck and be fine. I think none of our resources should be in Ukraine. None of our resources should be in Russia. We should let them fight it out. But as we know, Russia is a lot bigger of a country and they have a lot more in their arsenal than Ukraine does. In Ukraine, they installed Zelensky. I mean, he was nowhere in politics. He was an actor. Look, if you see his old videos, it's embarrassing. He's like a transgender actor. There's nothing special about Zelensky. He is fake. He's getting millions richer off the back of dead Ukrainians. And also, by the way, videos are all over X. They're not hard to find. They're literally dragging people off the streets in Ukraine and forcing them on the front line. Like, I've seen countless videos of people walking with their wives, walking a dog, and these group of guys beat the crap out of these people and just throw them in the back of the van. Like, this is happening in Ukraine, regardless if you support Ukraine or not. I support neither side. I think both sides suck. I just want none of our American soldiers, none of our money or resources in any of these countries, because I'm America first, as every other person should be who voted for Donald Trump.
Do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across the stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news. All right.
Dude, no one will be ever as funny as Trump is. He's like, no one, you knew it, I knew it, but no one knew about it because you are fake news. That's boss. That's a boss statement right there. Mic drop. Every single video reacting to just mic drop after mic drop. And they are fake news. They said that Biden was he was competent. He didn't have dementia. They said he was perfectly fine running the country, even though we now know that was a complete lie. Let's see. We have, oh yeah, here's the one about the MS-13 gang member, the guy from Maryland who's really just an illegal who should have never been here.
Murderers, criminals in this country. We have to get them out, and we're doing it.
By law.
And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and
All right.
on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute
But wait
on
a
that.
minute.
So real quick, because these dumb liberals and Democrats have been saying it doesn't exactly spell out MS-13, but if you look at MS-13, it's like a money symbol, and then it's like a weed symbol or something, but they're all over X. I don't know exactly, but if you look up the exact symbols he has on his hand, there's actually a picture that explains what these symbols mean, and it does stand for MS-13. Again, not hard to find. It's all over X, Twitter, YouTube, but liberals have no clue about this. So like, oh, because it doesn't actually say MS-13, he's not an MS-13 member. The symbols on his hand is MS-13 symbols. All you have to do is look it up. But the problem with the left is they are so dumb and Trump deranged, or just lazy and dumb, that they can't just look up, hey, MS-13 symbols that gang members have tatted on their hands. And you will find that that guy is an MS-13 gang member. It is not hard to find.
Wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles
did say-
tattoo.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute.
I-
Hey, Terry.
He did not
Don't
have the
do that.
letter MS13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshop. So let me
That
just.
was Photoshop. Terry, you
He
can't
had-
do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay.
I knew this
I
would
picked
come.
you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to
Terry,
move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture. We'll
And you think it
agree
was
to disagree.
Photoshop? Well,
Here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He
Fair
had
enough.
MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine.
No,
sir.
Terry,
I want to get to
Terry,
Ukraine.
No. He had MS as
Of course he wants to get to Ukraine. And since I have X up, I'm going to show you guys after this clip that exactly what it means. I'll show you right after.
clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why
All right.
people no longer believe the news, because
When
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go.
He
They aren't
is
there when he's in El Salvador.
there. Oh, they
Take a
weren't
look
there,
at the
but they're
photograph.
there now, right?
No,
But they're there
in
now.
your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
he's got MS-13 on his knuckles,
All right.
okay?
All right, well, we'll take a look.
It's you do
We'll take a
such a
look.
disservice.
We'll take a look at
Why
that,
don't you
sir.
just say it? Yes, he does.
All right. So since he said those were not gang member tattoos, let's go. Here you guys go for proof right here. So here we go. Fake news. Terry Moran makes the ridiculous claim that it's a cryptic MS-13 tattoo on Garcia's knuckles was photoshopped because someone put MS-13 on top and spelled out what each tattoo symbolizes. Everyone knows, put those on the image to spell it out. Marijuana leaf means M. Smile means S. Cross means 1. The school means 3. Bam! Those were his exact tattoos on his hand. MS-13. Also beat his wife and his kids, supposedly, and trafficked kids. So this is the type of people the left are celebrating and wanting to protect. And it's very disgusting. But I mean, what do we expect? The Democrats are the party of criminals at this point. They had an open border for 4 years, and clowns like this guy at ABC right here supported it and defended it. Now, this is the last one. I haven't watched this part of the clip yet. This is the first time watching it with you guys. This is about Doge, which I'm 100% in support of.
Elon Musk and Doge. Everyone knows that there's wasteful government spending. It's really important. But the cuts have had some serious consequences. There have been cuts to foreign aid programs that save lives and keep people alive overseas. There's been research at the National Institutes of Health on cancer, on Alzheimer's, that has had to be stopped. And the question I think people have is, did Doge go too far?
Why the hell should American taxpayers be funding these other countries with our taxes? We got homeless veterans and Americans on the street. I don't give a shit what those taxes go to. Fund America. Or send, you libtards want to fund all these other countries, send your own damn money there and stop bitching and expecting us to send our money there when Americans are barely getting by as it is. Yes, liberals are just enablers. They love victimizing criminals. Yeah, they are the party of criminals. Black Lives Matter, for example. The Palestine protest where they were burning down police stations and attacking police officer. The trans cult where they're grooming kids and having these fetish pulls in the Bay Area at one of these trans rallies or pride rallies where they were literally butt naked peeing on each other in a fetish pull with kids present. This is a party of people that aren't right in the head. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Far too fast, too reckless.
No, I think Doge has been, saved $150 billion. We saved, that's a lot of money. There's also a lot of things right now under investigation, which is going to increase that amount by a lot. That's a tremendous amount of money. There were some things where, when I heard about them, I put them back, as you know. There are things that I'm considering right now putting back, but overall, we've saved hundreds of billions of dollars.
Well, the original promise was $2 trillion, went to $1 trillion, now to $150
Well, I don't
billion,
know.
and heading
You don't know
south.
what it's going to be because we have things that are at a very high level that are being looked at right now. We also found tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse.
Can you imagine if they went off and tried to get these gotcha questions with Kamala? Because I mean, she's too dumb that they've literally edited out their clips when doing these interviews with Kamala. But Trump, he just doesn't give a shit. He's willing to go off the cuff and just talk and answer any question while he's calling out the fake news press corps. And I love it.
Yes, as you know, we found a lot of fraud. There was a lot of fraud. Fraudulent things were taking place, and we ended that, and those people are going to be suffering because of it.
A legal note, fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals to the Justice Department on any.
Well, you don't know that, do you? How do you know that?
Have there been
How do you
referrals
know
to the,
that?
are there
Why?
criminal
How
referrals?
would you know that there were no referrals? I think
There's-
there were
there's-
referrals.
They generally, all right, there's
Okay.
been no investigation from the
How do
Justice
you know
Department.
that?
I'm asking you, sir.
No, you're not asking me. You made a statement. You're not
Now I'm
me.
asking you.
That was a statement that you made. There have
Now I'm
been.
asking you. Are
Have there been? Yes, there have.
So there have been referrals for fraud from the
Of
work
course
of
there have
Doge.
been. Take a look at some of these
All right,
things that
all
took
right,
place.
all right.
Billions of dollars were given to people for no reason whatsoever.
Fake news media is just a joke these days. These guys are such scumbags, and no one trusts them anymore. It's amazing that anyone watches any big media. I mean, I've really had it with Fox as well in regards to some of the crap that's coming out of their mouths. But this is in regards to these polls that are showing Trump has a record low right now. Pollster Mark Mitchell says the left is coordinating a fake poll dump to cover up the success of Trump's first 100 days. A psyop is happening, a coordinated dump of polling, trying to undermine the anti-establishment president.
Is it just like going right back to 2024? Is it going right back to 2020? Is it just like you just got to like start the machine all over again and produce fake polling results?
It feels like August and September. Like it feels exactly what happened. It's like, oh, we got a new entrant into the race, Kamala Harris. Let's see how the polling's going to do. And my numbers, it tightened a little bit, went from, Trump +5 down to about Trump +2. And my numbers stopped there and everybody else just kept going. And so that's exactly what's happening here. If you look at, we had Trump underwater at 5 points. We had him above water last week. It's going to fluctuate, I think, around, ±2. But everybody was with me. They were with me 2 or 3 months ago saying that Donald Trump came in the low to mid 50s, and this is exactly what they're doing. My numbers stopped, and theirs are going to keep on going left. And then, of course, the mainstream media on top of that is going to be this information gatekeeping layer. If you look at, like, for instance, Quinnipiac, was the last one they had was -12. A month ago, Quinnipiac was -12 then, and guess what? That was the headline. They used Quinnipiac. Well, their numbers haven't moved, and so now it's they're going to use Reuters. They're going to use ABC Washington Post. -13, -12, -14. You got them up there. Those are all new. They all dropped over the weekend. I joked about it on Twitter. I wonder if they're like slapping each other on the butts and saying "good game" after this coordinated dump of polling. I think that's probably what it is. And what's really wild to me, if you have it available, is the Google search trends of Trump approval.
Oh, yeah, we got it. You already got it, Klein. You already got it loaded.
This is one of the most stunning things that tells me a psyop is happening. Because when those this is organic search volume of Trump approval. And it's like, oh, wow, it's spiking. If you look at the numbers, it's second or third highest month in all of Google's search history, going all the way back to 2004. But look at Obama, look at Biden, look at Bush. Nobody cared about their approval. There's something very specific about Trump, and there's something very specific about right now where it's like, well, we know cynically they don't have really much political power. And so all they have is their mouthpieces just drone away trying to undermine the anti-establishment candidate.
This is remarkable. So the green is Bush, the yellow is Obama, the blue is Trump term 1, and the red is Biden. That just falls right off a cliff after Afghanistan. Would you look at that? That's remarkable. So right after Afghanistan, it's like they shut down all polling into Joe Biden because it was so atrocious. This is very interesting.
Well, I think what happened is there was this binary gut check decision where everybody in America was like, oh, Joe Biden sucks. So they don't really need to Google it anymore. But
let's not pretend that Joe Biden was in charge of anything. I mean, he's not even in charge of changing his diaper at night. Dude had dementia, literally shaking hands with ghosts, being told where to walk, being told what to say, saying the dumbest things on camera. I mean, it literally looked like when he went to Paris in his last year, he took a crap live in front of the world to see. And I remember it because he made that poop face like he was pooping in his diaper. Most embarrassing president in history will always be Joe Biden.
I think also probably the media wasn't driving traffic, trying to convince people that he was popular. They just sort of gave it up. But just look at the overall value, though. I mean, when he was sworn into office, it really no point were people more interested in Biden approval than they were in Trump approval during Trump 1. It really never got there. And so all of a sudden, Trump gets into office. All of a sudden, all the levers of power are threatened again, and everybody's searching for Trump approval. And it's because they're seeing scummy headlines and they're trying to like check the mainstream media information that's getting pushed down their throats.
Yep, that's how it goes. Fake news media, wrong again. I give Trump an A. I would give him A+ if he released the Epstein files, if we saw Democrats being arrested. Once that does happen, his grade will go from an A to an A+. Border down by 96%, took only 2 months. Tariffs are working so good in exposing all these big industries that have been upselling products they've been getting from China forever, and we, the consumers, have been getting ripped off forever. Teachers union, dismantle that. Kids are dumber than ever. They need to be fired. If you were teaching kids gender studies and DEI and Marxism, you need to be fired. I'd say fire all these teachers that are doing this. Let's see. Tariffs. Yeah, in support of the tariffs. Gas and oil is going down. Security is looking better. I would say if he can help fix the homeless crisis in the state of California where I'm at, I would love that, Trump. Hope you guys enjoyed this live video. I will be doing another one tomorrow. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section about Trump's 100 days and if you support it and what grade you would give him. Also, I see a lot of people from X here. I have a lot of new friends followers on X. I would really appreciate if you could show some love and subscribe on my YouTube. It's so easy to find the YouTube. It takes 5 seconds. I've posted so many videos on my X every day pretty much that goes straight to my YouTube channel. Please go follow me if you wouldn't mind. Love you guys. Go Trump. Peace. Have a great night.